Hey everybody, it's Paper King, and I'm back with a bit of a different video on something I found really interesting that I'd like to share with everyone. Did you know that Nintendo partnered with a small company called MediaBrowser to create Nintendo-themed internet browsers during the early 2000s? Let's start from the beginning. MediaBrowser Incorporated was a small company founded by Mark Brown in the year 2000. During the peak of what was known as the dot-com bubble in the late 90s and early 2000s, technology was rapidly increasing. Tech-based companies began skyrocketing in value, and a home computer was becoming more commonplace in the average American household. These changes were seen on a more global level, but were at their most dramatic in the United States, due to investors piling money into internet-based companies at the time. Naturally, this being the case, everyone wanted to get in on this new internet craze. MediaBrowser had a golden opportunity on their hands, unveiling a partnership with Nintendo, creating multiple Nintendo-themed internet browsers where users can browse the web, share bookmarks, and access many of Nintendo's websites in a single click. This company ultimately filed for bankruptcy in the year 2001 and relaunched under the name Braun Communications shortly thereafter. MediaBrowser was involved in the creation of a multitude of different Nintendo web browsers, including Nintendo Power, Mario Tennis, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and you guessed it, Paper Mario 64. After their relaunch as Braun Communication, they released a couple more browsers themed after Metroid Prime, Pokemon Colosseum, and Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. If you've been a fan of my channel for a while, you know we're all about Paper Mario, baby. If you want to learn more about the other browsers, I recommend you take a look at Michael MJD's video, Nintendo's Bizarre Web Browsers for Windows, which I'll make available in the description and put up in the top right corner for you now. Okay, now first of all, getting this browser running was a pain in the butt. I had a feeling trying to run ancient technology on my bright shiny Windows 11 PC was not going to work exactly as planned, but I gave it a shot. First, I ran the registry files linked to the Paper Mario browser to make sure the PC had everything it needed to run properly. Next, I tried running in compatibility mode for all versions of Windows, XP and older. I'm not a software developer or a computer expert by any means, so I was unsure why this was still refusing to run. My other option was to download a virtual machine and try running it on more authentic hardware. I chose to download an old version of Windows XP. Sound. We had it so good. After tons of confusion and trying to figure out how these VMs work, I managed to get it running. Now I just need to get the browser and start it up. After getting the files moved to my virtual machine, I ran the registry file to properly register the browser, and then I installed the Paper Mario browser. It launches great. However, much like any other browser, a lot of sites are not going to be compatible with Windows XP. I was able to hop on Google and search a couple things, but that's about as far as I got. I even got to look at pictures of the Thousand Year Door remake on it. What a crazy concept. Even though most of the websites don't work, the fun's not over yet. Let's take a look at some of the unique additions they've added to the Paper Mario browser. As you can see, all the little buttons on top have a character associated with them. You've got Mamar and Lady Bow for the back button, Muscular and a Goomba for the forward button, Kalmar and Mario for the home button, Miss Star and King Toot and Koopa for the refresh button, Eldstar and Bowser for the search button, Skolar and Sushi for the stop button, Clevar and a Gloomba for the print button, another Mamar and Lackluster for the mail button, and lastly, another Muscular and King Goomba for something called the microtron. We'll talk about that in a little bit. In retrospect, I really wish they would have put a bit more thought into these buttons, honestly. Like, not having Paracarry for the mail button seems like a waste. Clevar would have been great for stop, too, because of his timeout ability. And most egregiously, you had such a perfect opportunity to use Eldstar for the refresh button. Like, his move is literally called refresh. Can it get any better than that? Anyway. Right underneath the address bar, you'll see a couple of quick links to some of Nintendo's websites. If you look really closely near the top right, there's a button to resize the window. If you use this button, you can move these quick links to either the top or the sides of the window. I like them more on the sides, because if they're not on the sides of the screen, then Bowser's just not there.
Bye-bye!
Alright, now let's take a closer look at some of these links. Now these links on the sidebar can differ depending on what media browser you're using, but on the Paper Mario one, we have links to Paper Mario's website. We've got Nintendo.com, there's a website for Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, and a website for Mario Tennis for the Game Boy Color. These links, as you'd expect, none of them work. It's a really cool little piece of history though. If you look even closer, you'll see that you can click the Paper Mario logo in the top left corner to go to the same Paper Mario website. There's also a little MediaBrowser logo in the top right that you could use to access their site and download more browsers too. Now I want to talk a little bit about a little feature that they stuck in this browser. I briefly touched on it earlier, but there's a button called microtron at the very end of the top bar. Clicking it seems to reveal this blank white window, so I did a little research on what this window is actually for. Apparently, Microtron was a miniature floating TV screen that showcased Nintendo-based media that was relevant during the time, and it would update as new media released. One such example was a trailer for the Pokemon movie 2000. Microtron also seemed to be useful for advertising special offers, giving you tips on your favorite Nintendo games, and exclusive news for media browser users. It's really interesting to think just how novel some of these concepts are, and how we eventually evolved into the technology we have today. I'm going to be providing a link in the description for all the files you need to run the Paper Mario browser, and I'll also provide a link to Michael MJD's video which inspired me to make this one. I appreciate all you guys, and I'm very happy I finally get the opportunity to make another video. I've been sick for a while and really held up by a lot of personal stuff in my life, but I want to get right back to scheduled programming. Please do let me know if you like more long-form content like this, or if you prefer smaller, bite-sized memes, and I'll gladly take your thoughts into consideration. Until then, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you soon.